Good morning, everyone. I'm back. It is Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. Or at least that's what we call it. So, good morning. I hope that everybody's having a beautiful start to their day. It is very dreary here today. Dark, damp, misty, foggy, cold. We've had mostly cold mornings, even on the days that it warms up to be nice. We've had cold mornings. I end up putting on my little jacket that my sister gave me. It's a fuzzy little jacket that she gave me, and it's nice. Instead of wrapping up in a big bathrobe, I throw on this little jacket, and it helps keep me warm during the morning. But yes, it's chilly here today. Here we are, June 10th, and it's chilly. I'm putting on fuzzy things to stay warm, fuzzy socks and fuzzy jackets. It's ridiculous. But we have had some beautiful days. I don't think today is supposed to burn off and be nice. I think it's going to be like this all day long, but whatever. Whatever. We'll take whatever nice days we get when we get them. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. All right, you guys, so don't follow any links or emails in the comment section of either of the channels. Hardly anything's going up on Rumble. Hopefully they're just finding it over on YouTube if they want to see what we've come up with for anything these days. Only a few things have gone up since April 10th. So crazy, a couple of months of just technical difficulties for me there with that channel. But don't follow any emails or links in the comment sections of either of the channels soliciting you for anything or anything other than that. I mean, really, it's just scammers, and you don't want to do it. Don't do it. The healing intentions are set for you folks as per the usual. So if you so choose and you want that, go ahead and breathe that in, decree that for your highest and greatest good only and always. Make your decrees, everything only for your highest and greatest good, only and always. All right, so let's get started. So yesterday we looked at the riots, and it said more to come, right? More to come. And the experience of that for we humans here on the earth plane will be that people finally begin to realize who funds these riots, where that money comes from, and actually be able to focus on the truth of the matter, the cabal, and basically the cabal, right? And those that support the cabal, and those people literally using our money to infiltrate our neighborhoods and cause human suffering. So the overall experience of all of this will shift humanity's perspective on these types of things. And it said we had more to come. Then yesterday, in the evening, my friend Kathy messaged me and said, "Hey, Lorri, have you heard of this No Kings protest?" And I hadn't, because, you know, life is busy and you're doing things, and I just hadn't heard of it. So she sent me this No Kings protest information, and it looks as though they are, I can't remember the exact number. I think it was over 1,500 cities, but don't quote me on that, nationwide. Anyway, I looked it up. She said that she had looked it up, and there are protests due to happen around her, in her area. But I looked it up. They're all over the country, you guys. They're here in my state too. And they're basically protesting against Donald John Trump, President Trump. No Kings is, so, you know, propaganda movement. So we're going to take a look at that. These protests are, you know, they could pop off into something hot and not just be peaceful protests. Things like that, big organized protests such as that, I imagine, are funded by the baddies, right? So let's see what we get for a true story on the No Kings organization of protests. I think they might be, I don't know if they're starting before Saturday. They're meant to disrupt, by what I understand when I was looking at it, they're meant to disrupt and take away from the big parade that Donald Trump is planning for the 14th. So let's just take a look with one card, the energy blanketing the No Kings protest, because since then there's been some interesting things that have come to my, since Kathy sent me that information and I looked it up and I saw that there are protests everywhere. I think it was a news treason decode saying, you know, do you remove the king first or do you remove the king last? And this is a No Kings protest, right? So apparently I'm not a chess player. My brother was. My brother always played chess. Apparently you take out the king last. And if that's the case, we could be towards the end game. But of course, that's them decoding things and looking back to the Q drops and trying to discern. And nobody has the playbook, right? And everybody's just trying to figure things out. So let's just see. Oh, and Kathy said that apparently these No Kings protests, the woman that started them is from Kansas. And she had remembered a Q drop that said, trust Kansas. That came to mind. But, you know, as I said, none of us really know what's going on. So, you know, we're just back here watching and discerning, right? So, logically, my advice is if you hear of these protests going on in your area, don't go down and try to protest the protest. You know, stay away from anything that could create an environment where you could end up hurt or you could end up going to jail, or, you know, just stay away from all of this. Keep your eyes peeled. Look for, like Kathy and her neighbors are looking for, in their neighborhood, pallets of bricks, frozen water, you know, whatever is being dropped off. They've got their eyes out for that, and they will be contacting law enforcement, you know, if they see anything like that in their area. But just keep your eyes peeled. Stay away from it. Stay positive. Stay in the love vibration. Don't get caught up in this stuff. All right, so a true story, one card. We want to see the energy that blankets the No Kings, okay? The energy that blankets the No Kings protest. Please and thank you. With one card, what is the energy that hovers over that No Kings protest? The Wheel of Fortune. So if the energy that hovers over the No Kings protest is the Wheel of Fortune, this is something that will eventually put this devil back on the bottom. Something has come back around, okay? And we're finishing a cycle. And this is not just here in the States. This is a cycle worldwide with this Wheel of Fortune. So this is something that will finish a cycle somehow. And something has come back around. Well, yeah, I mean, let's just be logical here for a moment. The Summer of Love, with all of the protests that was supposedly peaceful, right? So I would say that's probably the energy of that. The 2020 Summer of Love, they called it. It was horrible. So now that we understand this is very karmic, this is big picture. It's a big picture. It's not a small thing. They didn't give us a lower arcana. They gave us a higher arcana, which is big picture. coming back around, very karmic, meant by the world and all the energies to end up putting the bad guy, the devil, back on the bottom. So that's good to know, right? So we're just going to shuffle that back in because we want a 7-card spread now. We want a story around the No Kings protests, and we want a pathway. All right, so that's what we're going to do. We want the pathway of the No Kings protest and a true story around that. What this will do, what it's meant to do, what the idea behind it is, all of that. Let's see what the universe wants to say to us about this mass organization for what they call the No Kings protests that are happening all over the nation. The propaganda movement, No Kings. These people just can't get over the fact that that President Trump was voted in. That there's a huge movement of people that support him and wanted him. The left just can't stand not getting their own way. They bitch if they win and they bitch if they lose. They're just not happy. Can you imagine being that? Can you imagine being that way? I can't. But let's take a look at the story around these No Kings protests. We were told yesterday that we would see more of this rioting and stuff. So let's take a look at these No Kings protests. Well, the pathway, they've worked on this pathway for a long time. All right, well, let's start with the pathway. Let me put these up just a little tiny bit so that you can see the bottom card. So the energy that drives this entire pathway is that Knight of Pentacles. And so these people have been in motion for a long time. This has been in motion for a long time, which tells you that the people behind it have been working on these types of things for a long time, okay? So this is work that they've done over a long period of time. It's something that they're used to doing and they like to do. Their whole point is to create chaos. It's their intention isn't pure. It's not it's not anything other than to create chaos and fighting. So these protests aren't meant to be peaceful. Whoever's really backing them, these protests, they're meant to create fighting with this 5. That's the energy that they want to create, okay? So it's not meant to be peaceful. It's meant to create fighting. It's not a peaceful protest. It's meant to create chaos. It's meant to create fighting. And then above that, we have that 8, and we have the binding, and all of those swords upright, okay? So, I mean, this is really meant to, it's propaganda. It's meant to brainwash. It's meant to, well, I'll just show you. If you look at this, this woman she could shake herself out of these bandages pretty easily. But instead, she sits there bound, not seeing correctly, even though true information is right around her. She's not seeing. She could unbind herself. Those are just bandages. But she's choosing to be emotional, because if you see, she's got her foot in the water. That's blurred a little bit. But she's choosing to be emotional rather than logical. So she's buying the propaganda and she's letting her emotions kind of fuel her. And that's the hope, that people don't see the truth behind them and around them. that they stay bound to this chaos and this fighting and this propaganda, and that they're emotionally driven, because when you're emotionally driven, you're not driving your vessel with any form of logic, and nothing good ever comes of being simply emotionally driven. So this is all lower arcana cards. So their pathway, it's like the universe says this is their intention, this is what they've been up to, this is kind of what they're doing, but they're insignificant in a way, you guys, because there's no higher arcana card in their pathway. So there's a certain insignificance to this pathway of this No Kings protest. Okay? And then the story around it is, beginning with this No Kings protest, you have this 6. And you have a sharing of something from people that are older, passing it down to someone who is younger, as everything kind of crumbles around them. All right? And above that, you've got the journey with that 2 being put behind, and then a new journey being held in the hands, with the world in the hand. So that would lead me to believe that these protests have been taken over. That though the world around this No Kings protest has been based on, for a long period of time, a certain way of doing things to create chaos and fighting and keep people emotionally triggered and bound to this way of being, there's something loving that's come in. And it's done, they came in, it's been infiltrated by, these No Kings protests have been infiltrated by some people who actually give a shit. And a lot of this No Kings protests, the original journey, the way they once did things, has been put behind this group, which is very interesting. So something new is going to move forward, something that we haven't seen maybe before, which is interesting. And also with this Knight of Pentacles, you've got to understand that not only has this type of rioting and this type of organization gone on for a long time to create fighting, but for just as long, someone has infiltrated these groups that actually care. So I would say, just like there are probably bad people infiltrated into these groups, there are probably people within an operation that have infiltrated into these groups. And again, this is just what I'm getting, but it's what I'm getting, so it's what I'm telling you I'm getting. Obviously, I just got to tell you what I'm seeing in the cards. So these No King protests have not gone unnoticed by the good guys. And then for a long time, this has been going on, these types of organizations to create fighting, right? For a long time, they've been messing with people's emotions, because with this 2 of Pentacles, not only is there an imbalance on the earth plane of the way, they create the fighting to create the imbalance with the fighting, but there's a huge imbalance with the emotional triggering, which you see up here too, because she's got her foot in the water. She's not paying attention to logic. She's being emotionally triggered, keeping herself bound to a particular way of being. So this has been going on for a long time. So there's been work going in to create balance just as much, and to do something to shift things in a more caring way, just as long as there has been work going in to create the fighting. And because of this, there's a huge wake-up call. It's judgment. So I would say these people want to be very careful, because it's not going to go over the way it did before. Things are going to be very different this time. Something new that we see. I mean, they're going to be judged. So if people want to, think that they're going to act out like they did in the Summer of Love, these groups have been infiltrated also by good people, and they're aware of all of this crap. So that should be interesting. I think we're there. I think things are about to kick off. It's going to get hot. It's already hot. I think it's going to get hotter. So I'm going to grab a sip of my coffee. Let's shuffle the cards some more and continue the story, you guys. Now remember, these No Kings protests don't have one single higher arcana card for them. But at the very top of all of the imbalance that they're trying to create, and the fights that they're trying to create, and the emotional triggers that they're trying to create, there is judgment. So, and this isn't going to go over the way it normally would. Something is going to be different. So let's take a look. Get more story here. And it was infiltrated because their whole plot is to destroy neighborhoods. If you look at this 6 of the 6 of Cups, like the neighborhood behind these kids is destroyed. And that's what they want. They want to destroy neighborhoods. They want people to fight. And that would be why there has to be a stepping in, an infiltration, to put the way things were done behind and there's something like a new plan to deal with this moving forward. Great judgment coming in here. So I would say people better watch their step. It's not going to go over the way they thought. Things will be handled differently than what they're used to, and what they've been used to. Judgment coming in there. So let's get more of a story. It's their whole goal. Fighting, destroying neighborhoods, and chaos. That's the goal. So peaceful protests, my ass. Creating the protests to create the chaos. So let's see what else they've got to say. The High Priestess. The Alliance. All right. Now we've got some higher arcana cards to complete this story. So we leave off with the fact that judgment is going to rain down on these people, right? And then we have the High Priestess coming in. She's very magical. She's very powerful. She holds balance between the dark and the light. We've got 2 2s right there. She is touching the infiltration of someone that actually cares and doesn't want the neighborhoods being destroyed and doesn't want the fighting, right? So she's touching that. She doesn't want the fighting. She doesn't want neighborhoods destroyed. She's holding balance between dark and light. She's touching the 2 up here of rods, where she's putting something behind. There's a new plan, an abundant plan to move forward. She's also touching the information that's going out there. So what's touching though? What's touching the information? The dark side of the priestess of the High Priestess is touching the information. So there's going to be a lot of hype and negative information and probably lies around this No Kings protest, which is interesting. Propaganda. And that is definitely a propaganda card when we look at that 8 of Swords, depending on what you're asking the question about and how it's laid out. So that's interesting. The dark side of the High Priestess touches the propaganda, and the light side of the High Priestess touches the neighborhoods and the infiltration and, the caring side of things. All right, so now let's look at this. Let's go further. Then right across from that High Priestess holding balance between the dark and the light, the High Priestess touches the neighborhood. And the dark side does touch the propaganda, and it does touch the neighborhood. So it does look like there will be some shit that happens. But rejoice, because judgment is also touching this neighborhood. So rejoice, rejoice, because even though there's going to be some dark stuff that goes into this neighborhood, judgment is going to rain down because of that. The energy around all of this is a very fast-moving energy, obviously, right? Because this stuff is scheduled to start maybe even this week. I've got to go back in and I've got to look, but I know they're planning these protests for Saturday. So that would give us that fast-moving energy. The difference is, though, these protests might be coming in fast. This fast-moving energy is sitting directly on top of the fighting and the chaos. So the fighting and the chaos is coming in fast to the neighborhoods. That is the truth, right? But, and it sits on top of 2 neighborhoods, 2 communities, the fast-moving energy. But what's interesting is we do have the tower. So the whole story of this crumbling this neighborhood, it's set up on a unstable foundation. And that unstable foundation would be because it's touching the infiltration, right? So there are people within that own organization that are working against them as they work against us. And who's doing that? Who's creating that unstable foundation? Well, the people that are holding the balance between the dark and the light that have infiltrated, and the Alliance. We come over from the Tower card and we have the Alliance that has done a lot of work to create balance with that masculine, doer, divine masculine energy. He is the great healer. He works to create balance. So the Alliance has been on top of this, you guys. This isn't going to go over as they think it is. The Alliance is working to create balance within these communities because they've infiltrated these propagandists that are trying to create the fighting. Now, when we come right down, we have the 6 of Pentacles, right? And that's breadcrumbs and balance and scales. And that lines up with this 2 of Pentacles, which is also, a major emotional balancing act. So this 6 of Pentacles in this reading, when we look at this, he can be set up good, or he can be set up as the asshole that's trying to pretend that he's altruistic and he's out there helping people while he's actually really doing it to make himself look good. Or he can be set up as the true person who really has compassion and a lot of passion for those that don't have, those in need. So the way this is set up, when we're looking at this 6, directly over the long work that's gone in on both sides of things, because as we already saw, some of this has been infiltrated by people that care. And it looks to me like this was infiltrated a long time ago with this Emperor that lays right over this long period of work, right? That would make this person someone who is actually good, that really does want to balance out some of this human suffering that's been happening in regards to people who pay for groups to go out and protest that are actually rioting and creating harm. So stay home, back off, know that this is very karmic because judgment is going to reign. There's a lot of bullshit around it. There's going to be a lot of scare tactics. There's going to be a lot of fear porn. There's going to be a lot of dark energy that goes out to this information, which will also emotionally trigger people. So it will emotionally trigger the people that aren't buying what this organization is selling. But just hang back from it and know that good people have infiltrated this operation, and therefore that operation no longer has a solid foundation, because the Alliance actually is who has also been working for a long period of time to infiltrate this. And the alliance is overlooking the neighborhoods, and judgment is going to reign. And there are people that really do care. Ordinary people, not just within the alliance, that you also got to look at these cards like there are also ordinary people that really care. So I would say, and I think we're all meant to do this. Like I told Kathy yesterday, if you see these things, there is a place, if you get on the White House .gov, that you can send them a message. And I really think that we're meant to be a little bit more involved. So if you have concerns about these things happening in your neighborhood, get on the whitehouse.gov, scroll down to contact us, and fill everything out. And then they give you, I don't know how many words, 385 words or something like that. But you could tell them about your concerns in your area. And that puts you in a place of involvement, which I think they want us to be more involved. Not just bitching on the couch, but actually showing that we want some involvement. This stuff is coming fast, and it's going to go off differently than it usually does. It is going to go off differently than it usually does, you guys. So these groups have been infiltrated. And we also know that we have a president that's not going to fool around. If things get out of control, he will probably go ahead and call in the military. If things are really out of control and law enforcement can't do anything, and the mayors and the governors and all of that don't do what they need to do. We've heard President Trump saying he will have troops everywhere, need be. He just made that statement a day or two ago. Everywhere, if he needs to. So you're seeing this kind of play out, but it has been that group, to me, what I'm seeing, what I'm being told in the cards is this group has been infiltrated. And it's not going to go over the way it once did. So, but that's their whole plan, to emotionally trigger people, create chaos, and to destroy neighborhoods. That is the driving force behind it, as we look at the pathway. But there's a lot of other things going on within this organization that maybe they're unaware of. And so there are good people that have infiltrated the organization. And then we have judgment reigning over the top of things. So things won't go over the way they once did. The way things move forward with this will be something different. Because this journey here at the top with this too, he hasn't moved forward yet. A certain way is behind him, and now he has to move forward, and it's going to be in a different way because he has clear view. So that's interesting. Let me shuffle these up in. Just ask if I've read this to you correctly so far, if I've gotten the message through pretty well here. Please and thank you. Have I read this correctly so far? Please and thank you. With one card, just let me know. Have I gotten this message as the cards were laid? Have I read this correctly? Did I give good information so far? Please and thank you. I did with the Hierophant. So that's my Higher Arcana card. I've given you the information. So that group has been infiltrated by the good guys. It's been being looked at and infiltrated for a long time. The way things used to work for these terrorist organizations, these peaceful protesters, is not going to go off the way it generally does. There's a big judgment call. It is coming fast. Obviously, that's coming this week. Keep your ears open and your eyes open. Don't put yourself in situations that would be detrimental. Yeah, be smart, be logical. Don't be emotionally triggered the way they want you to be. Don't be emotionally triggered. Don't let the emotions trigger you. But know that things are going to be a little bit different than what they're used to. Judgment is raining down, and the umbrella covering these protests was the Wheel of Fortune. That's a very karmic card. That's these protests, this rioting bullshit has come back around, and we're going to put these guys on the bottom. The cycle's going to be finished. With the secondary message of this Hierophant, that's those systems. This is part of those systems, and we know it's the systems that pay for these guys, right? Sometimes pay an awful lot for them. The systems, they are a-changing. All right, you guys. So I hope that you found a little value in that. Again, it's just what I'm getting, but I thought I'd take a peek at it. We did see yesterday that we will be seeing more of this chaos. The universe sees it as necessary for humanity to wake up and have a clearer understanding of what these groups are all about, how they're paid for, and support what needs to be done when it needs to be done. We saw yesterday we'd see more of this, and then my friend Kathy showed me this No Kings protest organization, and I saw that was scheduled for all over the nation on and so that's why we've got that fast moving energy bringing it in. So I thought I should probably take a peek at it and see what we get there. All right, so I gave you good information. You know, things aren't going to go over the way they thought they would. So that's a good thing. So with the information that we've received and what we've learned today about these No Kings protests according to the universe, and again, this is just what I'm getting, but it's what I'm getting. Let's see with that information what it is that they want to leave us with, okay, you guys? So let's take a peek. What is the, now that we've received that information, what do they think that would be beneficial for us to hear as we close out this reading with one card for insight, clarity, advice, whatever they think would benefit us to hear, receive for a message. The King of Cups. Well, the King of Cups holds a lot of secrets, you guys. So a lot of stuff comes up from underneath the surface with the King of Cups. And the King of Cups has a lot of things hidden in his cloak, and it's a very emotional ride, emotionally triggering, very emotional, right? So the message would be with that, it's going to be an emotional, we're in for some emotional times. We're in for a lot of reveals. We're in for a lot of secrets to come spilling out in every direction, and it will trigger people. We are in the emotional time period with this, with the cups. So things are going to get very emotional. So the secondary message with that would be you stay in the positive of the King of Cups. And in the positive, the King of Cups keeps him afloat, keeps himself afloat and happy, even in the worst of times. You'll see he's literally on top of the water, and the water's a little rough there. Right? So in the positive, he would be keeping himself happy. He would be being the empath, holding compassion. And he would be seeing all of the chaos around him, and he'd be working to transmute that energy by staying in the love vibration, by literally seeing the energy transmuted, and by sending out love to the world, because we're going to be in some turbulent times that reveals a lot of shit. So that's what they're leaving us with. That's the card they want to leave us with. So let's all be the positive side of the King of Cups, and know that we're coming into some very emotional and turbulent times. And let's hold that joy and that love while things become a little bit emotionally, well, not a little bit, while things become emotionally turbulent and while people around us become emotionally triggered. Let's keep ourselves in a good place as secrets come spilling out, as reveals are made, as people are very emotional. We're in it, you guys. I think we're in it. So I hope that you found some value in that. Remember, again, that's just what I'm getting. So use your intuition, feel your way through it, take what resonates, toss the rest. That's what we do it. No, that's how we do it. No offense taken, right? That's how we're all meant to be doing this, you guys. And until next time, stay in that love vibration. Stay joyful. I think yesterday they told us to be very intentional with our emotions, with that Queen of Cups. And today they're giving us the King of Cups. So don't allow the emotional triggers. Keep yourself in an emotionally good place. Be very intentional with what you're focusing on. Fill yourself up with love until it's spilling out of you everywhere, and see it going into the earth and filling the earth and just filling the earth up so full that it comes out of the earth and touches everything upon the earth and going out into the ethers, and the whole earth is just surrounded in love, and hold space for that, and then fill yourself up with it again. All right, you guys, I love you all very much. Again, this is just what I'm getting. I hope you find a little value in that, and I will see you very soonish. All right, take care.